All right, Happy New Year! We are in 2025. Holy crap. Wow. Wow. I'm so excited for this year. I'm so excited for the growth that I know is coming, that I feel is coming. And this, I don't think I've ever actually gone live by myself. It's always like with somebody else, like having some sort of conversation. So going live by myself, this is a little bit of a expansion for me. It's a little bit of a comfort zone expansion for me, just because usually my process is throw the camera on, stream of consciousness. If I feel inspired to share something, so I just throw the camera on, let myself rap, and then go and get the little cutouts, the little reels. And my ego loves being able to go on there and delete the times where my face looks funny or my voice sounds funny, or I can filter, right? But this year I wanted to expand myself and get on these lives and just let myself share what comes up. And if you're new here, if you don't really know much about me or my story, I'll kind of start there and give you a little background. And then there's 3 or 4 topics that I wanted to speak on, things that came up throughout the holidays and the new year, different inner work that I'm moving through, pain, repressed emotions that I was, letting myself express and move through, some topics, some debates that I got into with people on Instagram that I'm excited to get your feedback on, get your thoughts on. So yeah, let's get into it, y'all. If you're new here, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. If you don't know, I grew up with a single mom who was very transparent about her money stress, and that's what really inspired me to get into the financial services industry, because I wanted to really help everyday people like my mom, like my family, go from a place of lack to a place of abundance. Because I grew up in places like Canarsie, Brooklyn, where I fell asleep to the sound of gunshots and had kids asking me what gang I was in 2nd grade. And then that was juxtaposed with living in a place like Bel Air, Maryland, where the population was 90% white. And the question was not, are you going to college? The question is, what college are you going to? Because it was so affluent and abundant. So experiencing that disparity, that difference, it made me really excited to be in financial services, to be a driving force for closing the racial wealth gap. But after sitting down with all these people in the industry and trying to educate and give them all the game I had learned through my time in financial services, I kept hearing the same story of lack, limitation, and scarcity over and over again. I would call people, after a year. I sat down with them once, maybe twice, gave them all the game. I'd call them a year later because they said, I'm not really ready to move forward. I got to take care of XYZ. Give them a call. Oh, I'm in the same position. I'm sorry, I can't move forward. I can't sit down. I can't meet with you. And this would happen year after year after year. After 5 years of hearing the same story of lack, limitation, and scarcity, I realized finally that the financial services industry is not set up to help my people, to help everyday people build true wealth. It's really just set up to help the high net worth and corporations to manage and multiply the wealth that they already have. And I realized that true abundance has very little to do with numbers and how much money you have in the bank, and everything to do with an internal state of being. So after understanding that and going on my own journey of education and having some mystical experiences, some very paradigm shifting experiences on plant medicine, where I saw myself speaking to a massive crowd and speaking divine truths, and I got to a place where I realized, okay, I can't just keep being the guy who only sells financial products and talks about money. Like, I had a serious spiritual awakening where my ego completely dissolved and I became one with all that is, and I felt deep sense of enoughness and worthiness and deservingness, and I was like, yo, I know that I have been blessed with this voice and this ability to articulate myself and the, gift of gab, as they say, to be able to speak this truth, to be able to go out and remind people that they are a unique emanation of the Most High, that they have been incarnated or carnated in this body to be able to express, to be able to reflect and reveal God's love in only the way that they can. So knowing the truth that I am already perfect, whole, and complete, that I am already enough just as I am, I couldn't keep it to myself. Okay, I had to get out there and share it with as many people as possible. There was just this yearning, that's where I started feeling inspired to start sharing what I was really passionate about, which is not just the financial information, but the inner work. To the point where I created this whole acronym for the inner work called CENTER: consciousness, energy, neurology, transformation, expansion, and routine. An acronym for CENTER, because the Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod created this acronym for SAVERS was his acronym, and that acronym broke things down in such a simple way that I was able to bring up so easily and quickly, and it added so much value to my life. So I just went to source and I was like, God, please give me an acronym that I can take all this information that I've learned from my plant medicine journeys, from my coaching sessions, from my the programs I've been through, the books I've read, everything, all this education and knowledge. I want to be able to break this down for people in a way that they can, just like with the Miracle Morning Savers, that they can bring up and they can reference very easily. And that's what God gave me, CENTER. Ran a whole program around CENTER specifically for men in their relationships, because I realized, oh my God, my relationship with my queen, been with this amazing woman for 12 years. We just had our 12 years at the time. We just had our 13-year anniversary. She's been, when someone asked me, hey, what's your greatest accomplishment in life? Without a doubt, without hesitation, the first thing that came up was keeping this gorgeous angel on earth in my life for almost a decade at the time that I was first asked the question. But it was so natural, so quick that it came up that is my greatest accomplishment, doing what the inner work required to be able to keep that amazing woman in my life. And that's what got me to a place where I'm like, man, I gotta help men with this work. I gotta really, I felt super inspired in that time, especially because I had heard some stuff about the men in my family, men that I actually had looked up to. I heard some fucked up stuff about things that they had done that they were not willing to take responsibility for and accountability for and commit to being better as men. When I saw that in my own family, and I realized the universe was just acting as a mirror to show me the areas that I needed to work on, right? And instead of placing blame and saying, oh, you're bad, look within and say, what aspects of them do I see in me, right? That's what inspired me to work with men on that Find Your Center program. It ended up being 6 months that I worked with these beautiful men, and had some amazing feedback. But then I started getting in front of a lot of people who kept asking me about money again. Because again, I was in financial services 5 years, right? Tore down that whole business because I was like, I know I need to be a coach. I know I need to be speaking about this spiritual stuff, this inner work, this mindset. It's all about the mindsets and getting your energy matched with what you choose to experience. So I got really deep into that. Was at a point where I even wanted to call myself a relationship coach, because that's what brought the most value to my life, and everything was about relationships: the relationship with your money, the relationship with your body, the relationship with yourself. It's all about relationships. So I ran that program, but then I kept getting questions about money because people were coming back around, remembering, oh yeah, you used to be a financial advisor. So they're asking me these questions. They're showing me their statements. I'm seeing these high fee products that they're in. They're showing me their insurance policies. I'm seeing these booty ass structures for these insurance products. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to use the skills and knowledge I had developed in financial services and make sure that people know this information as well. I need to bring this financial knowledge and come at it from a more holistic standpoint, from the mindset that financial freedom is nothing without personal freedom, right? And I don't really care about helping you invest in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, real estate, and do all this wealth planning and financial planning if you're not doing the inner work on yourself. Right? Because you could get all that stuff in the outer world, and if your inner state of being is determined by the outer world, if you are still a slave to money because you get your self-worth from money, that's not the work I care about helping people with, right? We have to start from within. So that's why I pivoted back into I guess more financial coaching, right? Because I was like, I can't just not talk about this. I see people getting taken advantage of by these advisors and agents. I see people that are just having these suboptimal insurance products, and just that these products that are adding more value to the insurance and investment companies than they are to the actual client. Like, I need and felt very inspired to start using that financial knowledge as well. So got back into that and went back to my money mindset mastery program and just injected more of a holistic approach to it. Everything that I had learned through working with men in their relationships, I was able to put that into the program as well, and stop thinking that I need to put myself in a box of, oh, I'm a finance coach, I'm a relationship coach. It's like, even the word, like, even coaching didn't resonate with me for a long time until I understood what coaching really is, right? I thought life coaching or coaching was, someone who's got it all figured out, and they're just, the sage from the stage that's going to tell you how to live your life. But when I realized it's not about being a sage from the stage, got this from my coach, Sean Smith, it's about being a guide on the side. It's not about telling people how to live their life. It's about asking questions and getting them to see things from a different perspective, and really just holding space, holding that sacred space for someone to be able to dive into the depths of their soul and psyche and uncover anything that's blocking them, right? So when people reach out to me nowadays asking for financial advice, I'll straight up tell them, listen, I don't do financial advice anymore. I do coaching, okay? So we can sit down and have a coaching session, and I can ask you some questions to help you, determine what would be best for you. But I'm not the guy that's going to tell you how to live your life. I'm not the guy that's going to say, yes, do that, or no, don't do that, right? Like, I had a client recently reach out, and they were like, hey, my dad passed. He left me his car. I don't know if I want to keep the car, if I want to ride it out. And he's like essentially asking me if he should sell the car or if he should keep the car. And I was like, bro, there's so many different factors that go into that decision. Ask yourself 4 questions. What would happen if you did sell the car? What would happen if you didn't sell the car? What wouldn't happen if you did sell the car? And what wouldn't happen if you didn't sell the car? I just gave him 4 questions to flesh out and ask himself and do some self-coaching so he can come to his own decisions. Because I don't do financial advice anymore, because to me, most advice in general can be very disempowering, because if you're the person giving someone advice and they take that advice and it leads to failure, whose fault is that? You know what I'm saying? They could come back to you and say, hey, I took your advice and you're the reason I failed. So I rather ask somebody questions, hold space, and let them come to their own conclusions and let them take their own advice, right? One of my mentors, Al Johnson, he always said, if it comes from you, it can be challenged. If it comes from them, that's the truth. And to me, that's so true. Drummond Culture, thanks for joining, brother. Appreciate you being here. Yeah, you'd be stuck in a toxic place. I'm assuming you were referring to when I was talking about working, essentially taking action from a place of lack and getting all these material things, getting all the matrix milestones, the house, the car, the sexy job, right? But you took that action from a place of not enoughness, undeservedness, unworthiness, thinking that all those matrix milestones are what are going to make you feel good about yourself. Maybe you feel good for a second when you get it, but then that programming comes back in. Your vibrational set point that you didn't move, right? You didn't change the vibrational set point yourself. You thought that things outside of you were going to raise that vibration, and they might have for a short amount of time, but then it went right back to that vibrational set point. You went right back to your conditioned ways of being. And that's what happens. I truly do believe it can be a toxic place of getting your self-worth from outside of you, because that game never ends. You will always need more, better, new. More, better, new. One of my coaches, Preston Smiles, always said that that's one of the biggest lies of scarcity, that more is better, that new is better. Right? You always need more, and it doesn't give us the opportunity to fully appreciate and be present in the moment, right? And that brings me to one thing that I wanted to share, because I had a ayahuasca ceremony recently, and when my heart really opened, I feel like Mother Aya was very clear with me. You are a king. Walk in your kingship. You have it all, and you deserve it all. These were the messages that I received, that the faces of all these beautiful souls that had impacted me and that I had impacted over the years came to my field of view. I saw their faces. I felt their love for me. And I thought about people like Preston Smiles, people like my man Lawrence, who gave me some amazing coaching last year. Think about my man Silver Storic. I think about my man Nilesh Sadhguru. I think about all these beautiful souls that have added value to me, and I want them to be abundant. Like, I want them to drive their dream car, to live in their dream house, to be able to travel the world on a whim. I want them to be able to live an abundant lifestyle because I believe they truly deserve it. Like, really, I want that for them. And God was very clear. You get to want that for you too, bro. Like, you get to feel that for yourself as well. Stop just putting it out to everyone. Oh yeah, you deserve. No. You deserve as well. I deserve, and that's was the very powerful message that Source gave me in that ceremony was, you've got it all, bro. You've got the physique of your dreams. You've got the woman of your dreams. Greater than your dreams. You don't even have the capacity to, you didn't, nor do you still have the capacity to imagine a woman as amazing as your wife. And you've got the career, the business of your dreams. You're getting paid to speak and coach and do what you love to do. Like, and it's, there's a big part of me that fights that or self-sabotage. Because it's that not enoughness, that unworthiness, that I don't deserve this. I haven't worked hard enough, right? I haven't done enough. I haven't impacted enough lives. I haven't sacrificed enough. I haven't suffered enough. And that is some deep conditioning that many of us have, especially those of us who grew up with family members, parents who constantly told us their story of struggle and grind and hustle and all the negative shit that they went through as kids and how they had to go through so much to get here. Because you haven't suffered as much as them, there's a part of us that generates this subconscious belief that I need to suffer to be successful. I don't deserve happiness because I haven't suffered enough. And the only time I deserve to be happy is if I've suffered. It's got to be hard. This is such deep conditioning that I'm working to move through, and that I help my clients move through as well. And part of this conditioning is words like, it's too good to be true. Phrases like, it's too good to be true. And I can't believe it. Oh my God. Oh my God. I need you to get this out of your vocabulary, okay? I need you to never let yourself utter the words, it's too good to be true. And I need you to never again let yourself utter the words, I can't believe it. I need you to understand just how disempowering that is. And how, if you were source energy, if you were the universe, and you had these beautiful creations, these fractals of you, these parts of you, these outpourings of you that you just created so that you can fully experience life, so you can experience all of it, right? Because that's my paradigm of the world, is that source energy, cosmic consciousness, infinite intelligence was infinitely intelligent. It knew everything. It was everything. And when you are pure positive energy and there's no negativity and it's just pure bliss, right? A lot of people come up with this idea of, oh, if God was a God of love, wouldn't it just be pure love and pure bliss all the time? Why is there negativity? Why is there rape? Why is there war? Why is there all this bad stuff? And from my perspective, it's like, hey, if it was just pure heaven and pure love and pure goodness, I feel like that would get really boring. You know, like, have you ever watched a movie where it was just, the end was just the whole thing? Where it was just pure love and pure goodness and there was no adversity, a challenge for the main character to move through? With kind of a boring ass movie, right? Like, you want to watch a movie where there's challenge and struggle and adversity and there's character development, right? Like, that's the kind of movie you want to watch, right? You wouldn't just watch a movie where the whole thing is falling action and it's all good, right? But a lot of us expect our lives to be that way. and we say, oh, there is no God, God's not a God of love because it's not all love. It's like we live in the world of the relative where you need the something's opposite to experience something. Okay, in order to fully experience a thing, in order to fully understand and comprehend a thing, you need to live within a contextual field that includes that thing's opposite. All right, so that helps me a lot. That paradigm helps me a lot to understand, oh yes, the world can't be any other way. There's gotta be negativity in order for us to fully understand and appreciate the good, the positivity. Now imagine you're God, your source energy, and you created these beings, and you want them to experience love and abundance, and you want them to experience the good. You want all that. These are your children, right? You want your children to experience the good. And you just blessed your child with this beautiful thing that they've wanted for a long time. And you blessed them. Or maybe they understood their creative powers and they blessed themselves by buying into their power to manifest it by allowing their thoughts, words, and actions to be in alignment, and they manifested it, right? But then that child of God is saying, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe. So first off, can't. Just the word can't. That is a victim consciousness, and my coach Sean, he always said, can't is a condition, whereas won't is a decision. So anytime somebody says, I can't do this, we switch it to, I won't do this. I can't find time to do the dishes. I won't find time to do the dishes. Oh, shit. Yeah, damn. Yeah. When you switch it to won't, you realize, oh, this is a decision that I'm making, and it's a very disempowering decision. I can't afford this. How can I, right? If we read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that was one of the biggest things. People saying, I can't afford this, I can't afford this is a disempowering statement. We got to switch it to, how can I afford this, right? So when you say, I can't believe this, to me, what you're doing is you're pushing away all good in life. You're saying, you're identifying as someone who doesn't get good things. Because if you identified as someone who got good things, who good things happen to me, I'm just a lucky person. I'm blessed. The things that I want come to me with effortless ease. I live in flow motion. I live in miracle consciousness where anything is possible and everything is available to me. Right? If you're in that frequency or want to be in that frequency, you're going to block that frequency when you say, I can't believe it. You are repelling good things because you are reaffirming the identity of someone who doesn't get good things. Because why wouldn't you be able to believe it? Because these things don't happen to people like you. That's the subconscious belief. Good things don't happen. These types of things don't happen to me. I'm not the type of person that manifests this usually. And because this is so out of my range of possibility, usually, I can't believe it. It's so disempowering. So please, anytime you find yourself thinking, even letting yourself think, I can't believe this is happening, I can't believe that happened, immediately switch it to, I'm so grateful that. Anytime I can't believe that, no, I'm so grateful that. I'm so grateful that. Even when I'm in, let me not go that way. No, I'll fucking go that way. Even when I'm making love to my gorgeous queen and she's like, I can't believe this is so good, I'll stop her and say, no, you better believe it. You believe it, okay? Believe it. This is yours. This is yours to experience, to enjoy. I need you to believe it, okay? So anytime you find yourself wanting to utter the words or the phrase, I can't believe it, just immediately switch that to, I'm so grateful that. Because gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership. And you want to believe. You don't want to let yourself not believe that this is the case, that this is... No, this is your reality. This is the new normal. You have quantum shifted into a new timeline. You have shifted your identity into a person that can experience this. So if you're experiencing this, The universe wants you to believe it. Because it is done unto you as you believe. Is that not what Jesus said? Right? It is done unto you as you believe. So if good things are happening and you're saying, I can't believe it, you're literally telling the universe, I don't want this. You might as well be praying for that to never happen again. You might as well be praying to stay in the identity of poverty, in the energy of poverty. I'm really serious about this fucking phrasing, y'all. Like I'm a language cop. If I ever hear someone say, I can't believe it, no. You can believe it. You're grateful that. So that we can swim in this abundance energy, okay? So we can let this be the new normal. Let this be the new vibrational set point, okay? Get that out. It's too good to be true. Get it out of your vocabulary, okay? These type, to me, it goes deep. I feel like these types of phrasing were conditioned into our mind so that we use these words, these spells that are words, in a disempowering way. And say bullshit like I can't believe it and it's too good to be true. What do you mean? It's happening. You see it, right? I mean, a lot of us say, I gotta see it in order to believe it, which that's complete bullshit, because you don't see electricity, you believe in electricity, right? Most of what is real is unseen. But this is something you can see. It's right there in front of you, and you're gonna affirm, I can't believe it, it's too good to be true? Fuck that shit. Get it out of your vocabulary, please. Please. So disempowering, okay? The next thing I wanted to talk about, I got like 3 more topics. Eckhart Tolle, he posted this thing where he said something along the lines of, I'm going to butcher it, but he said something along the lines of, when you disidentify from the ego and you get fully present, something along the lines of, when you are in the now, there is no pain and suffering. And I pushed back. I was like, I love you, Eckhart, but I disagree. Even when you are in the now, even when you are fully in the present moment, that doesn't take away pain. It can take away suffering, but pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional, but pain is inevitable. Because pain is the emotion. It's the energy in motion in your body. Whereas suffering is the feeling. It's the stories that you make up in your head. So I can feel the pain of cold on my body, and I'm not going to just avoid the pain by detaching from it and not feel like, no, I'm going to feel it. But I also don't have to identify with it, and I don't have to go up in my head and make up a bunch of negative stories about the pain, right? There's the pain of the, cold on my skin, but then there's the suffering of me saying shit in my head like, oh, I hate the cold, this sucks, how long am I having to deal with this? Right? I don't have to suffer. I can just fully experience the cold, right? It's the difference between emotions and feelings. Emotions, the energy and motion in your body. The feeling, the label you place on that energy. If I have a pit in my stomach because I'm about to speak in front of give a presentation to a bunch of people, and there's a pit in my stomach and I got the shakes, right? I can very easily label that emotion. I can label that energy in my body as fear. And then the label of fear is going to cause some suffering, right, in my head because I'm making up a bunch of stories about it. Or I can label that emotion, that energy and motion in my body as excitement. And that label is going to create a whole different feeling, a whole different story, okay, is attached to that. I'm creating a different story. The story of the fear is, oh, I'm afraid to speak. I'm going to get judged. I'm going to be negatively judged. People are going to laugh at me. I'm going to fail, right? But then when I say, no, it's excitement, the story around excitement is I am so freaking excited to get in front of these people and share this life-changing information. This could change somebody's life, right? Like a whole different feeling, same exact emotion or energy. And so when that's why I pushed back on Eckhart Tolle, because I was like, listen, you're being fully present in the moment with my cold that I'm feeling on my skin, that's not going to remove the pain of the cold on my skin. It will remove the suffering. Okay, so that's what I was saying. Pain and suffering are two different things. And then this beautiful soul, this lady came on and she's like, well, no, you have to disidentify from your ego. And when you disidentify from your ego, then there's no pain and suffering. You're detached from everything and you don't experience it the same way. And I was like, okay, I get it. Like I agree. We are not our minds. We are not our conditioned mind. That's like the foundation of everything for me personally is disidentification from the ego. I am not my conditioned mind. I have a mind. I have a mind that has been conditioned and programmed by society and my parents and the experiences, the macro and micro traumas that I went through, and right? I have a conditioned mind. That's not who I am though. That is just a program, like a computer program. It's just a bundle of a bunch of mental constructs, ideas, and patterns of thought, right? That's what I have. I have a conditioned mind. I have an ego, but that's not who I am. Now, me disidentifying from the ego and identifying as pure consciousness, pure spirit, one with source, which I believe is what Jesus identified as, and that's why he was able to say, I am the light in the way, follow me, I am the light in the way. He wasn't saying, I, Yeshua, Jesus' ego, Jesus' Yeshua's conditioned mind, that's the light in the way. My ego is the light in the way. Follow my ego. Yeah, I don't think that's what Jesus was saying. I think he was saying, I think he had done enough work to have, I guess, an ego death or such a healthy ego that it was identified as pure consciousness. And because he was so deeply identified as pure spirit, as pure consciousness, he was able to speak as it, I. And when he said I, he was speaking as the I am, as source, as the oneness with source that he knew himself to be. Most of us don't remember our oneness with source. Not only do we not remember it, we haven't had a actual felt embodied experience of it. So even if we know it intellectually, a lot of times we still identify with the ego. What this lady and Eckhart were saying, it seemed as if they were saying that when you disidentify from the ego, you experience pure consciousness, you live in pure consciousness, all pain and suffering go away. And what I was saying was, no. Suffering can go away because you're not up in your head making up a bunch of stories about the pain, but you're not going to avoid pain. You can try, and what that's called, to me personally, is spiritual bypassing. And that's essentially what this lady kept coming back and said, well, if you disidentify from the mind, you detach from things, and things even like death and disease won't affect you the way that they did in the past. And I'm just like, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. If that's how you want to live your life, if you want to be floating above the earth, completely detached from everything, do you. That's beautiful. To me, that's not what my soul came here to experience. I don't believe my soul came here to be not human. I don't believe my soul incarnated in a human skin suit to not be human. Like this whole concept of, oh, just detach from it and it won't affect you. It's like, I don't want to be the guy that's not affected by my mother's death or my father's death or, right? These like deeply human things. Like, yes, when my mother passes away, I'm going to know that in our essential nature, we're one. I'm going to know that it's not a dying, it's a transition into pure spirit, back into pure spirit. And now, if anything, I could have an even deeper or different, but maybe even deeper connection and relationship with my mom as pure spirit. I'm going to know she's in my heart. She ain't going nowhere, really. She's always going to be with me. And I'm going to cry my fucking eyes out. Oh, Mom, why'd you have to leave me, right? I'm going to cry my eyes out. I'm going to feel the real feelings that come, the real human emotions that come when my mother's no longer here in the physical. I'm not going to try to just detach and be floating above it like, oh, yes, she's in the physical. She's in the spiritual realm now. So I don't even have to feel any feelings about this. I can just be all happy. It's like, to me, that's just bypassing the real feelings, the real human emotions, okay? And I did that for a long time. I did that for a long time using these concepts to bypass the real work. But there's And I say real work because, there's two concepts, right? There's the concept, like, some people are very much on, like, you just got to meditate. That's all you got to do. Just meditate, get behind the mind. And, once you're in a place of pure consciousness and observing the mind, and you're disidentifying from the mind, then you don't need to worry about all the shit that it comes up with, all the stories. That's not who you are. Just let that go. And every time you let thoughts come up and you move on from them, that's a healing process, which I agree. Right? I agree. I love Michael Singer's approach where he says, hey, it's like a river. And your life force energy is just flowing like a river, but there's a bunch of blockages in there. There's a bunch of big rocks and boulders blocking up the flow of that pure life force, that pure love energy, right? And they were placed in there by these macro and micro traumas that you went through, and there's a bunch of chatter going on in the subconscious mind. And when you are fully present and you let the chatter come up without believing it and going into it and creating more stories around it, and you just relax and release. Every time you relax and release, you're removing pebbles, you're removing rocks, you're removing these, blockages to your life force, and it can flow, right? And some people have that concept of just like, hey, that's all you got to do. No, nothing else. Very simple. Just disidentify from the mind, watch the mind, live in pure consciousness, and life's going to unfold exactly as it's meant to. And that's beautiful. And I also like the actual shadow work, inner child work, nervous system healing, somatic release, because that stuff, like me going into a breathwork session and crying my fucking eyes out, I felt so much lighter after that. And there have been sessions where I released trauma from my mother's lineage, released trauma from my father's lineage, but there have also been sessions where I didn't know what I was releasing. And I just cried my fucking eyes out and screamed and yelled, and I didn't intellectually know. I just let the body take over to release the stuff, right? So if I know that I am not the ego, I'm not the conditioned mind, I have a conditioned mind that is deeply, subconscious, right? Most of it is subconscious. I don't actually know exactly what the specific beliefs are a lot of times, right? It's a lot of subconscious stuff going on. And that subconscious is directly tied with my body, right? If I know those things, then I'm not just going to only disidentify from the mind and think that that's it. From my perspective, it's very easy to let that be another way to spiritually bypass real work, like shadow work, like inner child work, like somatic release work, like healing your nervous system. It's so easy to just say, oh, yes, I'm not the mind. Oh, who is the I that needs healing? Who is the I that needs inner child work? Since I'm not that I, then I don't need any of that work. And that's like saying, well, I am not my car, so, my car doesn't need an oil change. Okay, you don't need to identify as something to recognize that thing needs work. Right? You don't need to identify as your ego. Actually, it's imperative that you disidentify from the ego to be able to work on it. Because if you're identified as the ego, you don't have any space to work on the ego. You're identified as a bundle of mental constructs, identities, and ideas. So there's no space to actually change it. It's only when you disidentify from it, you recognize, oh, that's not me. I'm over here. I'm pure consciousness, pure spirit. That's just a conditioned, this is just a bunch of patterns and, protective mechanisms, right? These are a bunch of layers of conditioning and protection that my ego created to protect the true, authentic me, to protect my inner child. I don't have to identify. Actually, I have to disidentify from it in order to work on it. But there's a sect of people that seem to think that you don't, oh no, that inner child work, that somatic release, that healing your nervous system, no, you don't need to do all that work. Just spiritually bypass all that work by understanding you are not your ego and living as pure consciousness. If it works for you, again, everything I share, take what resonates and leave what doesn't. If it works for you, do you. For me personally, I have to find that middle way. Find that middle way between, yes, disidentify from the ego, live as pure consciousness, but understand that if I wasn't supposed to have an ego, I wouldn't have an ego. If God didn't want me to have a conditioned mind, I wouldn't have a conditioned mind. If God didn't want me to be human, I wouldn't be human. I would just be floating. I would just have stayed pure spirit and not have any sort of human experience. Okay? I didn't come into a human body to not have a human experience. I came here to experience all of it. And those painful emotions, when I let myself move through those, the capacity to experience the high vibrational emotions raises so much. You open up your capacity to experience more of the good when you let yourself move through the bad, the negative, the painful emotions. And that brings me to another topic, a beautiful segue to the more you do this work, the more you will become more sensitive. Right? Sensitive to both sides. You're sensitive to the love, where you're able to like fully receive the love and you feel the love way more deeply, because you know, right? This work is more, you're increasing your self-love, and when you increase your self-love, you can receive the love to the out. You can only receive love from the outside to the extent that you've allowed yourself to love yourself. Right? It's directly correlated, or not even correlated. Like, that's the cause, I guess you could say. Causational, whatever the word is. You can only accept the amount of love into your life from the outside as you love yourself. So, you do this work, this inner work, and you become more sensitive to both the positive, and you can feel those more deeply, but you also become more sensitive to the negative stuff. You become more sensitive to when, because you're more conscious, right? You're now sensitive to people who are stuck in victim consciousness. You're sensitive to people who are stuck in the lack mindset. You're sensitive to when people are trying to manipulate you or incept ideas into your mind. You're just, even if they're not aware of their manipulative tactics, you're aware of what they're doing. Okay? And you become more sensitive. I was speaking to older folk in my family, and they were like, they did, instead of just speaking their ideas or speaking like, here's my opinion about this, they like cryptically shared their opinion by saying, oh, I watched a video recently, and in the video, this person, this is not my belief, right? They didn't say it like this, but the way I jokingly reenact what they were saying is, no, this is not my opinion or this is them, right? They believe this, and in the video they were saying that this new generation, these millennials and Gen Z, are so overly sensitive, and that's why there's so much family estrangement. You know, families are becoming estranged, and they're not spending as much time together, and they're deciding to just opt out of family engagement. There's so much family estrangement because these freaking millennials are so overly sensitive. And you know, back in my day, my generation, we weren't all sensitive. We just took it. You know, when our parents talked shit and, you know, hurt our feelings, we just let our feelings get hurt, and you know, we just took it. We weren't so freaking sensitive about it. And I didn't feel the need to engage with this person. Or, you know, they're not even being honest about how this is their opinion. They're just sharing somebody else's opinion. So at that point, I was just like, okay, fun fact, cool. You just like, I don't really feel the need to debate with you. This isn't even your opinion. You're not sharing it as if it's yours. You're sharing it as if it's someone else. Okay, you're sharing someone else's opinion as a fun fact. Cool, right? But after the fact, you know, being sensitive, I realized, they're just sharing their opinion under the guise of someone else's. And it made me realize, okay, there's probably a lot of people in this generation. Now, I'm not going to be like this person and generalize a whole generation, right? But I'm sure that they are not alone in this thought that, oh, you know, these millennials and Gen Z are so sensitive and they should just have thicker skin and be able to take these things. My perspective is, because we are doing the inner work, because many of us are doing this inner work, we're becoming more sensitive and we're awake to the bullshit. We see the manipulation. We see the inception. We see the, trying to program our minds in these not outright ways, in these sneaky ways, right? We see the toxicity. We see the dysfunction. and we're simply choosing to opt out of it, right? And I guess what my message is, the more you do this inner work, you're going to become more sensitive, and that's a fucking superpower. Stop letting other people tell you that your sensitivity is a detriment, that you need to be thicker skinned and you need to toughen up. No. Remember, true strength is vulnerability. True strength is being able to speak your truth and show up as your most authentic self, sensitivity and all, despite whatever negative judgments you may get, because you love yourself so much. And there are many of us who are loving ourselves so much that we don't feel the need to get the love, and I put it in quotes because a lot of times it's a counterfeit version of love that we're receiving from the outside by self-sacrificing. It's a lot of times we have parents and other family members that see us as a extension of them, and if we're not acting in line with this concept that they have of us, now we're wrong or bad. And we have to have the courage to say, no, I'm not wrong or bad for being myself. I am a unique emanation of the Most High. I have been sent here to reflect and reveal God's love in only the way that I can. And the more I step into my sensitivity, the more I honor my sensitivity, step into my vulnerability, be my authentic self, and move away from folks who are going to try to stifle that authentic expression or judge me negatively for expressing myself or condemn me for expressing myself. The more I spend less time with those people, bask in my own energy, and let myself attract people that actually are in alignment with my authentic self, the more I'm going to keep being able to expand and do the work that I came here to do, that I'm going to be able to truly evolve, okay? So don't let these people try to get you to believe that your sensitivity is a bad thing. It is a superpower, and we need more heart-open people like you. And if you separating yourself from certain individuals that you have to, like, you got to close your heart around, like they haven't earned your vulnerability, and you actually have to protect yourself, and you're like, I don't want to protect myself. I want to be around people that I could just be open-hearted. Do that. And don't let somebody try to get you to believe that sensitivity is a bad thing. All right? Now, the last thing I want to share is speaking on this concept of victim consciousness, okay? I want to remind you all that the outer world is just a mirror for what's going on inside of you. I was sitting down with another, these things come up during holidays because, we feel kind of obligated to spend time with family members. And I was sitting down with a family member of mine, and, politics came up, and just the, things with AI and something, just the future of the U.S. and the world. And their outlook came up, and they just started rapping about what they thought. My other family member expressed something differently. And this person was like, oh, shut the fuck up. And continued expressing their point of view. And immediately, I shut down. I was like, yo, my number one belief, I was like, we can rap about this stuff, we can talk about this stuff, but my number one belief is that we should all have the freedom to believe what serves and empowers us. That we are all unique emanations of the Most High. We've all been programmed and conditioned to think a certain way. And you get to, your paradigm of the world, your ideas and the way you see things is just as valid as my own. And I don't get to condemn you as a person or say things like, shut the fuck up and try to dominate you with my point of view. No. We can have a debate. I can share my point of view without condemning you as a person or believing that you're trying to condemn me as a person. I can separate me as a person from my ideas and beliefs and paradigm of the world. I can separate those two. Similar to how I separate who I really am, pure consciousness, from ego, ideas, mental constructs, right? It's the same concept. I am not my ideas. Those are just ideas and mental constructs. And if I was this person and I had gone through everything they had gone through, lived with their family, grew up in their skin suit, right? Had their traumas, I would think the same way they think because my mind would be programmed the same way their mind is programmed. So when I have this underlying understanding, I can not have the arrogance to believe that I don't have to have this God complex, essentially, that says that my way of doing things and my paradigm of the world is the only way to do things. This is what gets us, this is what fucks us up. It's not giving others permission to think differently and thinking that taking their disagreements with us as a disagreement with us as a person and not just a disagreement with our ideas or mental constructs, right? So I straight up said, I was like, listen, I'm not going to talk about this unless we make a commitment to none of this condemning somebody for thinking differently, none of this shut the fuck up, or I'm going to try to dominate you with my point of view. Like, no, that's not happening. Not in my space. If you want to talk about this around me, you want me to listen to your point of view, that won't be occurring, or I'm out of here, right? So as he was speaking, I realized and felt and saw the victim consciousness, okay? And what kept coming back, like what kept coming up was control what you can control. Control what you can control. Stop focusing on all the shit that's not in your control. Because when you focus on all this shit that's not in your control, this is what the ego that's in victim consciousness does to keep you staying in the same poverty mindset, staying in the same lack mindset, staying in the same exact position. Because again, your mind is not here to make you happy. Your mind is a survival mechanism. Its number one job is to keep you safe. And because its job is to keep you safe, it's going to deem anything unfamiliar as unsafe. And anything that is familiar is safe. And you know what's familiar to a lot of our conditioned minds? Complaining. Being a victim to the outer world. And this is the classic way that we justify not being where we want to be in life. We justify not going after our grandest vision for life. This is all that's just the sneaky way that the ego justifies not being the person you seek to be. Oh, I'm not taking action to go after my biggest goals and dreams because of this system, because I'm a victim, because of Trump, because of Biden, because of, the monetary system, because of the public school system, because of this. Right? I think about J. Cole in that one song, blame it on the this, blame it on the that, blame it on, he said, you blame it on everything, but you're not looking at yourself. You're not taking responsibility. So that is why, me personally, I choose to not spend time with complainers. Even people in my family, I've straight up said, listen, if you're in my space, I'm not going to let you complain. I'm not going to. If you ask me for permission to vent about something and then we're working to come to conclusions and see where you can take responsibility, like if we're in that energy, then yeah, you can vent with the knowing that we're coming to some conclusions here. We're going to be looking within and seeing where you need to take responsibility, right? Yes, but I'm not just going to sit here listening to these disempowering victim consciousness complaints, because I know that complaining is just attracting the same negativity in your life. And complaining is a lot of times, it is your mind's way of keeping you in that victim consciousness and keeping you not going after your biggest goals and dreams. Okay? So focus on what you can control. Seriously consider limiting the amount of news that you take in. Right? Because what does that do? People talk about spiritual warfare. I was looking at this post. Some dude posted a guy. He was like wearing some short. It wasn't even that feminine of an outfit, okay? But kind of a little bit feminine of an outfit. And he's, walking and he's got like a bag, or they called it a purse or a merce. He's just got a bag, right? And the guy posted, is this fashion or feminine? And people are on there like, oh, this is feminine, this is bullshit, this is spiritual warfare. And their idea of spiritual warfare is there's some agenda to get especially men of color to be more feminine. And, you don't see the white athletes wearing all this feminine stuff. They only do it with the black athletes. They're just trying to feminize and demasculinize black and brown athletes. And this is spiritual warfare. And I'm like, yo, spiritual warfare is them trying to get you to live in fear. And a part of that is you being afraid to express yourself authentically, and you being afraid to express, you as a man being afraid to express the feminine side of you, and thinking that you need to fit into a box. There's a reason I wear these. It's not just because I like the color and it's pretty. It's because it's kind of feminine. And I'm daring somebody to say some shit about it so that I know if I want to be in your space or not. Right? If I know that you're going to judge me because I wear some feminine stuff. Right? I do it on purpose. Because the spiritual warfare is not, oh, they're trying to demasculinize men. The spiritual warfare is they're trying to keep us in fear. They're trying to keep us living in fear. This is why I don't watch the news. Because I know they're only showing me the negative shit. They're not showing me the beauty, the good, all these beautiful souls that are doing good work. So I choose to seek out the beautiful souls that are doing good work and focus on them. Because if you have a negative paradigm of the world, if you're viewing the world through a bunch of negative lenses, you're probably doing the same to yourself. Because again, the outer world is just a mirror for what's going on inside of you. So that's why I say, focus only on what's in your control. And the things you're seeing out there that you don't like, it's in here. It's inside of you. So stop thinking the outer world needs to change and start being the change you want to see. And that's what I had to keep it real with my family member. Like, hold on. You're not going to sit here and tell me that all this stuff in the world is so bad and, the AI is going to take over and, and there's racism and And then when someone speaks differently from you, you're saying, shut the fuck up. Whoa, hold on. You're worried about what's out there when you got some shit inside of you that you need to work on. Like, stop worrying about AI and what's going to happen in the future and start worrying about how can I allow somebody that I love to express themselves without telling them to shut the fuck up. That's what I need to be focused on. How can I purge and work on the part of me that is in war, instead of going out and saying, oh, these wars are so bad. That's why I love Kendrick's song, Reincarnated, where he has a conversation with God. And God says, how can they forgive when there's no forgiveness in your heart? Everyone out there is just another version of you. And that resonates so, I'm like, yes, you want them to forgive, but you haven't forgiven. You want everybody else to change, but you're not changing. Be it before you can see it. Be the change you want to see in the world. Because when you do the work on yourself, you remove these dirty ass lenses that have you viewing the world as if it's a bad place, and you can wake up to the beauty that's all around you and see, yeah, this is a beautiful place, and I can put more good energy and make this world even more beautiful. Not, oh, the world is shitty and, might as well not even do anything to make it better. And I should just complain all the time and live in victim consciousness and use all this negativity in the world as a, justification and for justification for me not going after my grandest vision. That's all it is. You're not where you want to be. So you got to bring all this stuff from the outside. That's the reason why. No, you're the reason why. And when you understand that, it can be very disempowering based off of your perception of it. It could also be the most empowering thing in your life. Similar to how when you recognize nothing matters, we're all specks of dust on a speck of dust floating in eternity. We're just floating on this ball of gas, and there's trillions of galaxies and trillions of stars out there. It's just fucking massive, and we're just a speck, right? When you realize, oh, everything I build, all the business I build, the physique I build, the relationships, everything I create is gonna either become someone else's and then turn to dust at some point, and nothing matters. I'm here for a blip. Nothing matters. It can be very disempowering, or it can be the most empowering thing in the world. Nothing matters. Woo! Might as well run around naked. Might as well do helicopter dick and fucking go after my biggest goals and dreams, right? Nothing matters. Yes. Paradox, right? Divine dichotomy. And it's the same with this taking full responsibility for your life thing and recognizing that, no, you're not a victim. The outer world is just a mirror for what's going on inside of you, and you're only seeing all this negativity because you haven't cleared out some of that negativity in your own subconscious mind. Okay? So yes, you are not a victim. Yes, you are pure consciousness, and you have an ego that gets to be worked on. And that's what I told this beautiful soul that was debating with me on Eckhart Tolle's post about how, oh, there's no pain and no suffering when you disidentify from the ego and you live as pure consciousness. Is like, we keep coming back to this identification piece as if I need to identify with my ego in order to work on it. It's kind of like you're saying, I need to believe that I am my car in order to change its oil. Like, actually, no, I'd have to disidentify and not be that thing to work on that thing, right? So we got to find this middle way, okay? Find this middle way between that raising our vibration work and experiencing more joy and practicing that gratitude and, right, raising our vibration, because yes, the only way out is through, but the only way through is to have the mental clarity to do so, and mental clarity only resides in higher vibrational emotions, right? So we, yes, do that work of living in pure consciousness, experiencing more joy and gratitude in life. And if that's all we're doing, we're leaving a bunch of subconscious negativity in the mind that gets to be cleared out. So we can intellectually understand these spiritual concepts of unity consciousness and oneness and, I am not my mind. But if we're not doing the deep inner work, like the shadow work, the inner child work, the somatic release, the healing our nervous system, regulating that nervous system, if we're not doing that work, then we're just spiritually bypassing, and we're intellectually, understanding these concepts and maybe pretending to embody them, but we're not really embodying them. We're not practicing. We're not living in that truth. We're just talking about it. Okay? So, quick recap. 1, get these 2 phrases out of your vocabulary. I can't believe it, and it's too good to be true. Get it out of you. Don't never let yourself say those words again. Anytime you find yourself saying, I can't believe it, immediately switch it to, I'm so grateful that. Do not deny your power. Do not deny the power and blessings and miracles and magic of the universe by telling yourself and stating out loud to the universe, I can't believe it. Get it out of your vocabulary. It's too good to be true. Nope. We have to shed layers. And that's what this ayahuasca ceremony helped me do, is shed layers of I can't believe it and shed layers of too good to be true. No, it's true. It's right here. You better believe it. You manifested it. The more you believe it, again, Jesus said himself, it is done unto you as you believe. So you better believe it. Stop identifying as someone who doesn't experience these things and identify as someone who does by saying, I'm so grateful that, instead of, I can't believe it. 2, don't let people get you back into believing that sensitivity is a bad thing or that you need to toughen up. Right? This old programming is still out there in the ether. It's still out there in the world of, oh, you gotta toughen up and, strength is not crying, and right, there's still this bullshit programming out there that people still wanna, tout, but they're doing it a little bit more sneakily nowadays. But notice it. It's still out there that this whole, man up, you gotta be strong and not feel your emotions. Bullshit. Sensitivity is true strength. Vulnerability is true strength. You loving yourself enough to be the sensitive person that you are. Because again, the more you do this inner work, the more you open your heart, the more you feel, right? So you can feel the joy and the gratitude and the abundance and the high vibrational emotions deeper and more. You've expanded your capacity to experience those, but you've also expanded your capacity and your level of consciousness to see and experience the negativity. Now you're seeing people's, manipulations. We're seeing the toxicity more. You're conscious of it. You're more sensitive to it. And that's why some people will say, oh, I started doing coaching. I started doing therapy. And I actually take less shit now. Like, people thought I was nicer before therapy. Like, people think I go through therapy and then I'm going to become a nicer person. The opposite. I give less fucks now. I say no more often. I hurt people's feelings more because I choose me. I choose me. I put myself first. So that's a big thing. Just don't let people tell you that being sensitive is bad or putting yourself first is a bad thing. That's old programming that we're moving out of. All right? Number 3, don't spiritual bypass by just letting these spiritual concepts be up in the intellectual mind. Do the real deep work, okay? Which for me, it's the inner child work, which is being able to recognize I have an inner child that I get to speak to. I'll never forget when I cut my hand open and I was so afraid and scared and I was shaming myself. That inner child work helps so much, where I just imagine my little boy. It's okay, baby boy. It's okay. Your body is already healing itself. I started speaking to myself as the inner child because I recognized, when I was flashed back to when I fell down and I scraped my knee and my grandfather yelled at me and cursed me out for hurting myself because I wasn't careful enough. And now when I cut myself as an adult, I was saying the same shit to myself. You should be more careful. How could you do this? How could you be so stupid? And I noticed it because I'm a practiced meditator, so I noticed the thoughts. And then because I'm practiced the inner child work, I was able to speak to my inner child and move through that, right? The inner child work, the shadow work, the nervous system healing and regulating, and the somatic release work. If we're bypassing that work by using I'm not my ego. So who is the ego? Who is the I that needs inner child work? Who is the I? It's not you, yes, and you still got to work on it, okay? You still got to build that healthy ego that's going to serve you in this life, because I don't believe the game is to kill your ego. That's, again, if I didn't come here to be human, I wouldn't be human. Simple as that. And then the last thing is stop being a victim. The outer world is a mirror for what's going on inside of you. Get rid of complaining. No more complaining. No more letting yourself speak these things out loud and disempower yourself with complaints, because you recognize the world doesn't happen to you. It happens for you to grow and evolve, and everything that's happening is assisting in your expansion and evolution. And when you adopt this paradigm, it's the end of all stress. It's the end of all worry, because hey, whatever happens is exactly what's meant to happen. Whatever happens is going to assist me in building the energetic, emotional, spiritual muscles that I need to build to be able to hold my next level of abundance in life. So, yeah, I don't worry is the activity of the mind that does not understand its connection with God. Worry is the activity of the mind that does not understand its connection with Source. So I've programmed my mind away from stress and worry and towards faith and absolute knowing that all of my needs are met with no exception. That I have a universal sugar daddy that is always, that is more powerful than I even have the capacity to imagine, that is always rearranging itself. The universe is rearranging itself to make my grandest vision a reality, to bring me exactly what's meant for me. And when you adopt this paradigm, it's a beautiful way to live. Such a beautiful way to live. So, guys, I love you so much. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you more for your intention to take action with some of this stuff. Because again, remember, knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. Knowledge is not power. Wisdom is power, true power, right? Knowledge is only potential power. So take this one nugget. What's one nugget I can do? Okay, I'm not a victim. Let me stop watching the news. Okay, these people are trying to get me to think I'm, overly sensitive or not tough enough. I think I'm going to spend 2 months away from them and just bask in my own energy. I was saying I can't believe it. I'm going to notice that, and I'm going to switch it to I'm great. What's that one thing you can take with you and take action with? And if you don't know, I'll give you one. Hey, I'll give you one. Here's one you can take action with. Get in this webinar tomorrow, y'all. I'm doing a webinar tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It's called The 3 Secrets to Escape the Financial Matrix. These are 3 secrets that the financial services industry does not want you to know. They don't want you to manage your money the way they manage their money. Okay? They want you to manage your money like someone in poverty. They want you to manage your money with a lack mindset behind it and hoard money in accounts and wait 60 years for compound interest to kick in. They want you financially illiterate and disempowered. I want you financially literate and empowered. So this webinar, you're going to learn the secrets the financial services industry doesn't want you to know, and how they're legally stealing your money, and how the system has been set up in a way where your money is being legally stolen from you by a corrupt system, and how you can begin to remove yourself from that system. You're going to learn how to begin not just building wealth for yourself in a tax efficient way, in a way that keeps as much money in your pocket and out of the IRS as possible, but you're also going to learn how to multiply that wealth for the next generation and perpetuate that wealth throughout the generations, so that no one in your family ever has to experience poverty, lack, or scarcity ever again. We're talking about some really powerful concepts, financial strategies that can change the future of your family for generations. So definitely click that link in my bio, sign up for the webinar. Even if you can't make it live, I'll be sending out the replay on Friday morning, so you can get the replay and check that out. But yeah, I'm super excited to share this information with y'all. I pray that you got some value today. I pray that there's one nugget you can take action with. And I'm excited for the next transmission.